is going to join me, and hopefully once we move through the proclamations, we will have a quorum and we can start the meeting. It's good to see everyone. Happy Thursday. Hope you fared well in that hurricane last night. I barely got any sleep because of the wind and the rain and whoo, the sound of a train going through my house. But we will get this show on the road shortly. Our first proclamation is for someone who was near and dear to me. She lived in my district and she recently passed away, but she was such a beautiful soul, and I would like to honor her. Miss Rita, is her family here? Come on up, close friend. Come on up. Come around. Thank you for coming. So, Miss Rita lived in District 5. She lived on Belmead Island, and she was such a strong supporter of the island and District 5. She had an extensive career in government. She worked for Miami-Dade County. She worked for the mayor at the time, Carlos Jimenez, and she mentored me. She guided me. She also went door to door with me and told all of her neighbors that I was it. Anytime there was an issue, Belmead Island, I would call her, I would text her. I remember there was an issue here and someone was saying something I knew wasn't true, and I texted her and I said, "Miss Rita, is this true?" And she was like, "No, So the appropriate vote happened, and today is her homegoing. I can't be there because I'm here, but we're doing this proclamation for her, and I wanted everyone to know what a special human being she was. So thank you for being here. Thank you for that.
Madam Chair, thank you so much for doing this. Rita worked in our office and was a great friend to the law department. And we're also not able to go today because we're here, but thank you for doing this. It's very special.
My honor. So, our next presentations, is it multiple? So, our officers are here to receive a proclamation for some outstanding work that they have done. You guys come on up. This is in response to some outstanding bravery, and it is always an honor to recognize our men and women in blue for doing outstanding work. Hi, guys. So exactly what did you do? Tell me. In your chief, the chief can tell the whole world what you guys did. Chief Morales. Chief, please tell everyone what your team did to deserve this recommendation, this proclamation.
So good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioner, and the audience. So back in August of this year, one of the worst fears a police officer can have, right, is when one of our own needs our help, right, in an emergency mode. So we're used to helping out the community. We're used to rendering and jumping at the opportunity of helping the community, but when it's one of our own, especially touches. So back in August, we had Detective Lee Chin that was working a detail in an Overtown area. Was flagged down in reference to a potential carjacking. As she responds, she was aggravated and assaulted by a career criminal that ultimately crashed the vehicle into her, causing her to lose one of her arms. So as the officers that you see here jumped into action and were primarily responsible for saving her life. So a traumatic event that we're all there in the hospital as we're, praying that our sister survives. So it is due to their courage, their bravery, their ability to keep a sound, clear head under the most strenuous and tensest of circumstances that we didn't lose one of our own. So my heart and my gratitude is eternally indebted to all of you. So thank you very much for everything you do, and thank you for the Commission for recognizing the bravery of the officers that each and every day step out there and do the right thing to keep not only our community safe, but back each other up. So thank you for all you do. Appreciate you.
This was a exactly. This was a particularly heinous, I'm gonna cry again. This was a particularly heinous crime. And this man, he stood next to the officer, kept her calm at the scene, and you cannot unsee what they saw that day. It was one of those depravity we learned in law school, depravity, heart depravity. It didn't make any sense. It was a senseless crime, and lives were forever changed. I didn't realize that was why you were up here, because that one was tough. That was a tough one for everybody. So it's the least we could do to recognize you. I wish we could do more, but we can't. It's the least that we can do, because that was horrible. We use language every day and we say we're having a bad day and this and that. We're not. That was a bad day. That was a horrible day. So it is well deserved that we recognize them, because they put their lives on the line for us every day, and we don't know that they're going to go home the way they left their home and their families. So thank you guys for your service, always.
As I always say, we wouldn't be safe and we wouldn't be here like we are as a community without you. Our officers always within our heart. So thanks so much for what you do every and each day for all of us, for all of the people of the city of Miami. Thank you again. You're brave, you're amazing.
And I'd like you to know all of their names, so the chief will call their names as he gives them the proclamation.
Awesome. Thank you, Officer Ana Lescano. Thank you, Dede Williams. Thank you, Sergeant Raquel Hendricks. You okay, man? Okay. And thank you, Lieutenant Brandon Lanier.
I still don't have quorum yet, so we're going to have to wait. Do we have any more proclamations? No? Okay, so I still don't have quorum. I'm sorry. As soon as I get a third commissioner, we're going to rock and roll. for November 16th, 2023. At this time, we are going to start our meeting. And as I do every meeting, we're going to start with prayer. And I'd like to welcome, where'd he go? He went. Oh, I'd like to welcome Deacon Charles Wade, who will lead us in prayer for today. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Let us pray. Most Heavenly Father, as we come invoking your prayer this morning, Lord, we just ask that you just be with us right now, Father. We thank you, O Lord, for our lying down last night, our early rising this morning, Lord. We thank you for traveling grace, but most of all, Lord, we thank you for our family, friends, and loved ones. And right now, Lord, as we prepare to go into the business at hand, I ask that you just forgive me of any and all of my sins, my transgression, my iniquities, and all of my shortcomings, that this prayer will be righteous in your sight. So, Lord, as we pray right now, Lord, we pray for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Lord, that you just continue to strengthen each and every member right here, right now, Father. Asking, oh Lord, that you bless their family, that you bless their homes. But most of all, Lord, we ask a special prayer for the chairperson right now, that you just continue to strengthen her where she's weak and build up what she's torn down. Prop up on every leaning side, Lord, that she may be able to lead these, your people. Lord, we ask that you order her steps in your word, that everything will come to fruition right now, Father. We follow the vision right now. We ask that you strengthen each and every one under the sound of my weak voice right now. Asking, oh Lord, that this blessing may be a blessing to each and every one of us. Lord, as we go through this day, just remember that God is powerful. His hand is upon us. And Lord, if you do these things, we'll ask and we'll be so ever grateful to give you the honor, continually to give you the praise. In your Son, Jesus' name, we pray. Amen, amen, and amen.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Reyes, would you join us for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. And at this time, we will have our statement by the City Attorney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Detailed information about the process, order of business, rules of procedure, and scheduling or rescheduling of City Commission meetings can be found in Chapter 2, Article 2 of the City Code, a copy of which is available online at www.municode.com. Any person who is a lobbyist pursuant to Chapter 2, Article 6 of the City Code must register with the City Clerk and comply with the city requirements for lobbyists before appearing before the City Commission. A person may not lobby a city official, board member, or staff member until registering. A copy of the code section about lobbyists is available in the City Clerk's office or online at www.municode.com. Any person making a presentation, formal request, or petition to the City Commission concerning real property must make the disclosures required by the City Code in writing. A copy of this City Code section is available at the office of the City Clerk or online at www.municode.com. The City of Miami requires that anyone requesting action by the City Commission must disclose before the hearing any consideration provided or committed to anyone for agreement to support or withhold objection to the requested action pursuant to City Code Section 2-8. Any documents offered to the City Commission that have not been provided 7 days before the meeting as part of the agenda materials will be entered into the record at the City Commission's discretion. In accordance with Section 2-33F and G of the City Code, the agenda and the material for each item on the agenda is available during business hours at the City Clerk's office and online 24 hours a day at www.miamigov.com. Any person may be heard by the City Commission through the Chair for not more than 2 minutes on any proposition before the City Commission unless modified by the Chair. Public comment will begin shortly and remain open until public comment is closed by the Chair. Members of the public wishing to address the body may do so by submitting written comments via the online public comment form. Please visit www.miamigov.com/meeting instructions for detailed instructions on how to provide public comment using the online public comment form. The comments submitted through the comment form have been and will be distributed to elected officials, their staff, and city administration throughout the day, so that the elected officials may consider the comments prior to taking any action. Additionally, The online comment form will remain open during the meeting to accept comments and distribute to elected officials, their staff, and the city administration up until the chair closes public comment. Public comment may also be provided live at City Hall, located at 3500 Pan American Drive, Miami, Florida, subject to any and all city rules as may be amended. If the proposition is being continued or rescheduled, the opportunity to be heard may be at such later date before the City Commission takes action on such proposition. When addressing the City Commission, the member of the public must first state their name, their address, and what item will be spoken about. Any person with a disability requiring assistance, auxiliary aids, and services for this meeting may notify the city clerk. The city has provided different public comment methods to indicate, among other things, the public's support, opposition, or neutrality on items and topics to be discussed at the City Commission meeting in compliance with Section 286.0114 Florida statutes. The public has been given the opportunity to provide public comment during the meeting and within reasonable proximity and time before the meeting. Please note, commissioners have generally been briefed by city staff and the city attorney's office on items on the agenda today. Anyone wishing a verbatim record of an item considered at this meeting may request it at the Office of Communications or view it online at www.miamigov.com. PZ items shall proceed according to Section 7.1.4 of the Miami 21 zoning ordinance. Parties for any PZ items, including any applicant, appellant, appellee, city staff, and any person recognized by the decision-making body as a qualified intervener, as well as applicants' representatives and any experts testifying on behalf of the applicant, appellant, or appellee may be physically present at City Hall to be sworn in by oath or affirmation by the city clerk. The members of the City Commission shall disclose any communications to remove the presumption of prejudice pursuant to Florida statutes Section 286.0115 and Section 7.1.4.5 of the Miami 21 zoning ordinance. The order of presentation shall be set forth in Miami 21 and the city code. Staff will briefly present each item to be heard. The applicant will present its application or request to the City Commission. If the applicant agrees with staff recommendation, the City Commission may proceed to its deliberation and decision. The applicant may also waive the right to an evidentiary hearing on the record. For appeals, the appellant will present its appeal to the City Commission, followed by appellee. Staff will be allowed to make any recommendation they may have. Please silence all cell phones and other noise-making devices at this time. This meeting can be viewed live on Miami TV, the city's Facebook page, the city's Twitter page, the city's YouTube channel, and Comcast Channel 77. The broadcast will have closed captioning. Pursuant to advisory legal opinion, AGO 2020-03, issued on March 19, 2020, the Florida Attorney General opined that consistent with prior Attorney General opinions, a member of the local body who is physically unable to attend meetings because of medical treatment or due to medical reasons could participate and vote on meetings where quorum of other members are physically present. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. Mr. City Clerk, would you please read your statement in for the record?
Thank you, Chair. The procedures for individuals who are providing testimony to be sworn in for planning and zoning items and any quasi-judicial items on today's City Commission agenda will be as follows. The members of city staff or any other individuals required to be sworn in who are currently present at City Hall will be sworn in by me, the City Clerk, immediately after I finish explaining these procedures. Those individuals who are appearing remotely may be sworn in now or at any time prior to the individual providing testimony for planning, zoning items, and or quasi-judicial items. Commissioners, are you comfortable with all the notice provisions set forth in these uniform rules of procedures we have established for this meeting?
Yes,
And Chair, may I administer the oath for the planning and zoning items?
please.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If you will be speaking on any of today's planning and zoning items, may I please have you stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give at today's hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And your response is? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager, do you have any items that are going to be withdrawn or deferred for this agenda?
Morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners, Madam City Attorney, Mr. City Clerk. At this time, the administration would like to defer and to withdraw the following items. RE 11. So on this one, we initially had it slated for a deferral to the next meeting. We would rather potentially propose an indefinite deferral, but I'd like to get some feedback on it, especially from Commissioner Cobo.
No, not indefinite. I would say for the next meeting,
For the next meeting?
or January, but not indefinite.
Okay. I mean, with an indefinite, you can always bring it back as soon as you want.
At
Can we
Anytime.
request it,
And
can we
why-
request it for January? So we have more time? If
For
you don't-
January.
Okay.
Makes sense. So we can
The
start.
January
The
meeting?
first or second meeting in January?
The second.
Second meeting in
Second meeting in
January.
January.
Thank you.
Which is, Mr. City Clerk, what's the second meeting in January?
January 25th.
Okay, so the request is then for a deferral to January 25th.
Okay.
Okay? SR3 to be deferred to December 14th. PZ1 to be indefinitely deferred. PZ2 to be indefinitely deferred. And PZ3 to be indefinitely deferred. Those are all companion items. PZ4 to be deferred to December 14th. PZ5 to be deferred to December 14th. PZ18 to be deferred to December 14th. And PZ19 to be deferred to December 14th. And that concludes the items.
Commissioner Covo, do you have any additional items?
I'm good.
Commissioner Reyes?
Yes, I'm good.
Mr. City Clerk?
And Chair, just for the record, Commissioner Reyes would like to co-sponsor RE16, RE17, and RE18.
Madam Chair,
Yes?
I also have a Jennings disclosure on RE2 and 3.
Jennings disclosure for RE2 and 3. May I have a motion to set the agenda for today?
I move.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The agenda has been set. And there are no pocket items for this meeting?
Good.
Great. And at this time, I would like to open the meeting for public comment. If there's anyone here who would like to speak on any items on this agenda, please step forward. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm sorry, but I still don't hear. Madam Chair, Commissioner Cole, Commissioner Reyes, last time we were here to tell you why we wanted to build a museum, a new museum. I'm not going to repeat that. Commissioner Reyes knows very well what we're doing here. Today, I just want to tell you that if you vote yes on this, I promise you, with every breath that we have left, with every effort that we have left, all of us, that we're going to build the best museum possible in Miami, something that we're all going to be very proud of. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair, if I could have the speaker's name?
Sir, if you may say your name. ¿Cuál es tu nombre?
I'm sorry.
Sí.
I am Rafael Montalvo.
Gracias.
Oh, 13071 Mars Street. Anything else?
No,
No.
sir, no.
I am the president of the Bay of Pigs Veterans Association. I was a rifleman on the 2nd Battalion, and I still am.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your
And
service.
you were not nervous there, right?
Oye, yo no oigo nada.
Ah, tú no oyes. No, ahí no estabas nervioso, pero aquí te me estás poniendo nervioso, ¿ok?
I'm not nervous, I'm just deaf.
Estás sordo, es una tapia.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ay, Dios mío.
Good morning.
Good morning, Albert Gomez, 3566 Vista Court, Miami, Florida. First and foremost, on PZ16, exhaustive work was done on this. It came up to commission some years back. They did triple the work on it since then. Back and forth. It's been to the CRC several times with full support. Please support the Green Roofs Initiative. On RE17, which is Leave No Trace, if you've been to the Spoil Islands lately, the mess that the public is leaving there is beyond reproach. It's Biscayne Bay. Something needs to be done. We need to take a step forward instead of a step back. Please support this RE17. On RE11, through the chair, city manager, I know why they want it removed, and it's a false pretense. The reality is we're not trying to stop navigation in the intercoastal waterway. What we're trying to do is protect the rookery.
Did you say RE11?
RE11 is still on.
Oh, it's the...
No,
okay, I'm
It's
sorry.
the
RE11 is the
plan.
swale.
Is the plan-
Is the
that was
swales.
deferred.
Is the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
swales.
Right, the
Correct.
rookery is still on.
RE15, which is the ordinance on the rookery, all I can ask you is this city commission has defines their values by their vote. If you could please show your value that you support the natural resources of our city, you would vote for this ordinance. It's the right thing to do for the natural resources of City of Miami, which there are very few left, and these are one of them. So please support this item. This is a value-defining moment for City of Miami. You make the call.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairwoman King and Commissioners. I'm Christopher Boykin from Pelican Harbor Seabird Station, 1279 Northeast 79th Street Causeway. We have treated 43,000 patients, including 9,000 brown pelicans. We all love boating, right? So in 1779, a British Royal Survey crew was sailing Biscayne Bay, and they discovered the Little River and an island just off the Little River which they named Bird Key because of the abundant bird life. For 3.5 centuries, this island has thrived and done so beautiful with 20 different species of birds. In 2019, winter 2020, the rookery collapsed. It ceased to exist. So frigate birds, brown pelicans, cormorants, egrets, herons, all these beautiful things that are a fabric of Miami and South Florida. And many of our municipality logos, they disappeared. And luckily, a portion of the rookery relocated to the Mangrove Island off of Morningside. And I believe it's RE15 and 17 we're talking about today. We have one of the most magical cities in the world. And we are in the forefront of climate change, on the edge of the Everglades and the Florida Reef Tract. I just ask you to please support Commissioner Cavo and Laura Reynolds and these environmental groups in protecting the Morningside rookery further by creating a motor exclusion zone, a no-wake zone. These birds are very fragile and very sensitive, and they embody what South Florida wildness is. It's beautiful to see them soaring in front of our skyline. So thank you so much for your consideration, and Miami is such a special place, and we need to keep it special for these birds too. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Chairwoman King, Commissioner Reyes, Commissioner Cobo, Manager Noriega. My name is Silvio Pupo. I live in 1291 Northwest 37th Street. I'm very active in the local community. I'm wearing a couple of different hats from the local nonprofit community as a leader of the Logos Blue Economy Foundation, the Save Miami Collective, and a member of the Environmental Finance and Risk Management program at the Institute of Environment at FIU. To talk about a couple of things, I want to support PZ16 for the green roofs being one, coming out of the Resilience Committee. Certainly want to support the Green Roofs Initiative. Also want to bring your attention to RE15, just piggybacking off of the historical comments of Bird Key and the importance of protecting these rookeries, or what we have left of them, as well as the Leave No Trace RE17. Now, I don't want to just propose that you consider and support these initiatives, but also want to propose a solution, which is, I believe that the City of Miami Parks is in charge of looking after these islands. There's no boat, I understand, or maybe they just got a boat to be able to protect and clean up some of the islands. So I wanted to propose a project that I'm looking to pilot that can use a drone surveillance system to take a scan of the islands, tell you where the trash is, tell you where the litter is, And if amenable, even being able to inform boaters when they're in no-wake zones or other types of things. So thinking that we should look at other ways to collaborate between the city and the county, particularly on ways to support policy that can make it easier for environmental eco tours versus boat tours to get licensed, especially in the Bay, and for a way for us to maybe partner with the local Parks and Rec using a drone system, from FIU or as residents for citizen science purposes, so that we can collect the data to make the right informed decisions on how do we maintain, how do we protect, how do we enforce policy to preserve the 60 billion plus economic engine that is Miami-Biscayne Bay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for being here and for hearing our presentations. I really felt like we're speaking about this rookery. I know I've been talking about this for months, but I wanted you all to see it. So I have a little presentation. The first photo is basically all those little white dots. Those are all the birds that live on that island. I don't know if you can see that. Those are the magnificent frigate birds have just taken roost. We have like 24 pairs of birds, and they're showing signs of mating. The male birds are, you'll see in another picture where they have the red throat thing. That means that they're trying to attract a mate. And there have been signs of other female birds bringing little twigs to build nests. So they are, the only other place that they nest in North America is in dry tortugas. This is a very big deal. These are extremely endangered. Here you see the birds, the male frigate birds, that was just taken 2 days ago. This was featured on Louis Aguirre's Don't Trash Our Treasure. This is one of the photos that they had. We also have brown pelicans, which haven't been seen nesting in northern Biscayne Bay for many years. Oh, this picture back here, it's a manatee zone. That little black dot there, that's a manatee. There were 4 manatees that were seen that day. That was 2 days ago in that little area in the aquatic reserve. You see here, we have beautiful birds, we've got fish. It's all full of life. Now we've got other issues. We've got speeding boats. This is the problem. I love boating. Listen, I get it. But these are people that are very irresponsible. You see that boat that's right next to the rookery? They actually go inside of this mangrove island and disturb the bird. They go right inside. And we also have people that are speeding. We have jet skis. I have personally witnessed jet skis 2 weeks ago that were chasing the birds, and other ones that actually ran over a pelican.
Thank you.
I do want to just finish real quick. Fishing lines are a huge problem. Here's pollution that we have on all these islands and our shoreline, and these are the dead birds that we've lost 7 birds in the last 2 months. This is the problem. This is why we're here. And as a realtor, and an environmentalist, I understand the importance of our bay and to protect our property values. This needs to be protected.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, if I could have the speaker's name for the record. Ma'am, just your name.
I'm sorry, Maggie Ramos. I'm a Morningside resident.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, City Commission, staff, City Manager. My name is Jonathan Gillette. I'm Vice President, Foundation Risk Partners, Public Sector. Our office is located at 8700 West Flagler Street, number 402, Miami 33174. We are the second-ranked proposer in RE10, and I wanted to, in this extraordinarily long and close process, I want to go on record regarding our proposal and savings to the City of Miami. There's 3 components. One is our cost proposal. Our initial fee proposal came in $106,812, less than the overall first-ranked proposer. The first-ranked proposer lowered their fees in post-negotiations with the city. Our consulting fees are still $50K lower for the duration of that contract. The second component, or the second pillar, is the performance guarantees in our proposal. Foundation Risk Partners has put a portion of our consulting fees at risk for service and performance delivery. In regards to the savings, our goal is to help the city manage its sizable healthcare spend, and our proposal identifies specific ways in which we will produce savings for the city. We will put a portion of those consulting fees at risk to guarantee the savings as outlined below. 1, we will reduce the pharmacy spend by at least 18.8%. which is 1 million plus in annual savings potential. Our pharmacy team's results are 18 to 25% savings on the first year. No change in formulary. And lastly, implement a post-65 healthcare plan, another 30 to 60% in projected savings. We appreciate the time you have given us over the last couple of months on this matter. We are here if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Sandy Moise, 5910 Northeast 6th Court, Morningside. Good morning, Chairwoman King, Commissioners, City Manager, City Staff. I'm here to speak on RE 15 to provide protections for the Rookery and RE 17 to create a leave no trace policy on the islands in Biscayne Bay. These items are interconnected and critical to protect our ecosystem and improve the health of Biscayne Bay, our blue heart, which is a source of enjoyment and a significant economic engine for our community. $64 billion it brings to Miami-Dade County. In 2019, the rookery on Bird Key collapsed. This rookery was never confirmed as a rookery, and therefore no protections were ever in place. The pandemic lockdown drew wildlife back to Biscayne Bay in abundance. The seabirds adopted Mangrove Island, and it was confirmed, thanks to this commission, as a nesting rookery by the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission on July 13, 2023. This should not be a question about whether or not to provide further protections to the rookery, but rather how soon can we provide these protections to limit disturbance and prevent its collapse like Bird Key. Currently, there is minimal marine patrol and no enforcement. Jet skis and motorboats speed and drive recklessly near the rookery, which is already a manatee protection zone with a slow speed designation in this entire area of the bay. I have personally observed jet ski operators intentionally chasing the seabirds as if it were a sport and striking them. We need to follow the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission recommendations and implement a non-motorized vessel zone just 500 feet around the rookery. This is a very small area in a vast bay, but will have a significant impact to save our rookery, and boaters will still have a chance to enjoy access to the bay. Biscayne Bay is in a critical condition. It's dying. I witnessed the fish kill in August 2020, thousands of dead fish washing ashore, struggling to breathe, literally suffocating to death. We humans caused this, and we humans can fix this. For starters, the bay is full of trash. Create and enforce a leave no trace policy on the islands. This is the same island policy enforced by national parks and U.S. Fish and Wildlife. Marine and wildlife are ingesting the trash, getting tangled and entrapped. The trash washes up in mounds and the shorelines on our coastal parks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I encourage you to support both of these items.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairwoman and Commissioners and staff. My name is Chaplain Stanley Young. I live at 500 Northwest 2nd Avenue here in Miami, in the Overtown area. I'm here to speak about RE 20. I thank you, Commissioner, for putting this bond to this commission, that we do need affordable housing. I want to talk about housing. We need housing in the city of Miami. I walk the streets of Miami and talk to those people that a lot of you drive by, who's in the tents, who land on the sidewalk, who have mental health problems, who have different issues that they have, and I try to connect them to the shelters, to the treatment centers, to whatever resources that'll be able to help their life move forward. One of the most frustrating things doing this particular work is that there is no room in the shelters. You know there's no room in the shelters. The reason why there's no room in the shelter is because the people who are in the shelters can't move out because they don't have enough money to get affordable housing, because there's not enough affordable housing that is being provided in the county and the city. Florida is number 3 in homelessness. Okay, they're number 3. And I haven't really seen any board in Florida really move forward in actually addressing more so than what we've been doing. We've been doing the same thing we've been doing like nothing is going on. But we need affordable housing. Affordable housing is the thing that's slowing up the process of getting those men and women who's living in the tents on your streets that really need your help. They may not come down here to talk to you, but I'm here on their behalf to let you know that they need help. You know, we can save the birds
Thank
and
you.
all the other things.
Yes.
Let's also help
Thank
the
you.
ones who are living on the streets. Thank you very much, Chairwoman
Thank
and
you.
Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, everyone. I'm here to add my voice, my name. I'm Shirley Pardon, and I'm here representing the Miami Women's Club, which is 1737 North Bayshore Drive. We have a historic building sitting right on the bay, and you probably heard in the news, we now house the two hottest new restaurants, Claw and Casadonna, which I encourage you to visit. I'm here to add my voice to the deterioration and the appalling state of Biscayne Bay. As a longtime resident of Morningside, I was there, saw the fish kill. I now live facing Margaret Pace Park. I see that island where the boats go every weekend and leave their trash. I spent a lot of time going down to the Keys. We used to go boating on the islands. Everybody took their trash. So why is this not happening here? The environment needs to really be protected. I watch the jet skis and the boats as they head around Biscayne Bay. There doesn't seem to be any control or any limits put on this. We need more fundraising for enforcement. We did the club did a fundraiser for the environment and for protecting Biscayne Bay. We applaud Commissioner Cobo for joining forces with the Environmental Coalition, and we would ask other commissioners to join us to support our economy, which is our environment. Protect our Blue Heart.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Jonathan Rafi. I live at 499 Northeast 55th Terrace in Morningside. Chairwoman King, Commissioners, Mr. Manager, I'm here to speak about RE15. While I share a lot of the same feelings as many of the other people speaking today, I would ask if the Commission would consider deferring the item. As much as it's important to save the birds in the rookery, the boating in the bay and our waterways are conducted by the Florida Inland Navigation District, and there's a lot of concerns coming from Find about their work in keeping the navigation open. They do not believe they've been informed about this issue and think it would be prudent for the Commission to direct staff to work with Find to find a solution that can both protect the birds and work in collaboration with Find so we don't create an adversarial position. Both in Morningside and throughout the city, there are significant dollars that Find has from our tax base to allocate for projects, and it would be a real shame for the city of Miami and Find to be in an adversarial position, and I ask for you to defer to work in collaboration with Find to find a mutually agreeable win-win solution. Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Thank you.
A substitution, just to this point, a substitution was sent out with regard to RE15 and the rookery to make sure that we work with the Florida Inland Navigation District to limit the impact of potentially harmful human activity. So that's the amendment to this item.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Brian Raposa, 14525 Southwest 88th Street in Miami. I'm the Vice President and Field Trip Coordinator of Tropical Audubon Society. I'm here to urge you to protect Mangrove Island, located in Biscayne Bay off Morningside Park, because it is a confirmed brown pelican nesting rookery. Last week, I visited the rookery and observed large numbers of birds there, including magnificent frigate birds, double-crested cormorants, brown pelicans, and ospreys. Despite FWC posting educational signing to inform the public of the rookery's presence, boats and other recreational watercraft continue to speed very close to the rookery and anchor next to it to fish. Such actions are highly disruptive to the nesting birds and can cause nest abandonment. Most alarming, several brown pelicans and one magnificent frigate bird were recently found dead hanging from mangrove trees, entangled in monofilament fishing line with hooks still attached. You have the power to make a difference for all wildlife and the people who recreate here. I urge you to designate a non-motorized vessel zone around the nesting rookery to prevent detrimental human disturbances, and nest abandonment. I also urge you to designate an idle speed no wake zone around the intercoastal channel adjacent to the rookery. Further, the area around the rookery is already a manatee protection slow speed zone, but it appears this is not well enforced. We need to increase marine patrols in the area. This will ensure protections for the rookery, manatees, and other wildlife for all humans who recreate here, including kayakers, paddleboarders, and swimmers. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Sam Van Leer. I am appearing here representing Urban Paradise Guild. We are at 1020 Northeast 90th Street, Miami, Florida, 33138. I'm here to speak about where the Bay is going. If we look back just to 1950 or before, there was a common phrase that appeared on every postcard, every letter of every visitor to Miami. They always wrote, there were so many fish in the water that it looked like you could walk on them. That was magic. That made Miami famous. That brought in tourism. That's what launched Miami's reputation. Those days are gone now, but they don't have to be gone forever. What we need to do is decide where to draw the line in terms of protection. So this bird rookery is unique. There are plenty of places for jet skis to do donuts everywhere in the bay. They don't need that space. There are plenty of places where people can anchor and fish. They have no reason to be next to a protected island. So I would urge you to look at what the maximum protection can be created is, and a 500-foot no-wake zone, a do-not-enter zone. This is basic wisdom to protect something so precious. Beyond that, I would also urge you to protect the bay from trash. We see trash everywhere. It is terrible. And since the Miami Park Islands are part of the park system, and as I understand it, it's forbidden to anchor or bring powerboats ashore in any Miami park, it's a matter of enforcing that. And furthermore, the amount of trash that is left on those islands is horrible, and it ends up blowing into the bay, it ends up blowing everywhere, and it doesn't help anyone. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairwoman and Commissioners. My name is Laura Reynolds, and I represent the Friends of Biscayne Bay, and I'm former Executive Director of Tropical Audubon Society. Friends of Biscayne Bay is charged with helping to implement the management plan for that area. We support the aquatic preserve at every step. And one of those problems that we have, obviously, is enforcement. So aside from supporting 15 and 17, of course, we have trash problems, we need rookery protection, we also need increased funding for enforcement. I'm a boater, and this area is very confusing. There are signs that say 30 miles an hour for 6 months out of the year, then there's no wake zones for manatees. So I would like to see, not only do we make it simple, but we protect wildlife at the same time. So please do consider that in the future. In addition, I made the mistake when I was the Executive Director of Tropical Audubon not to put protections around Bird Key. We didn't do it, and the birds left. So I'm here today to tell you we need to take action or they will leave this area as well. So I urge you to take the small step, maybe the first step, of just protecting the area with a 500-foot buffer. But being a boater, I'm certainly not against any access for boaters, but this is a very small little piece that we do need to keep safe. Birds and boats, they don't mix. They flush out of their nests, and they will not nest if we continue to do that. So again, with $64 billion at stake, this is recreation. It's $115 billion just for recreation, and one of the biggest things is going out there to see wildlife. So I implore you to support our economic blue heart, and I brought you a copy, in case you don't have it, of the economic study results for you to take a look at.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the commission. Steve Warnick, 320 Miracle Mile, Coral Gables. I'm here on PZ 16 and PZ 17 to speak in support. Thank you both Commissioner Covo, Commissioner King for sponsoring these items. On PZ 17, these are NRD 1 cleanups for the Wynwood Revitalization District. Have gone to the Wynwood Business Improvement District, who recommended approval on September 27th. And the Planning Board earlier this week also recommended approval, actually, of both of these items. These are have had a lot of stakeholder participation, help move us forward, and we appreciate your support. Thank you, as always.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone, the commissioners, the public in general. Thank you for giving us time. My name is Antonio Canton, and I represent Texas Aquatic Harvesting, and I'm here to provide some facts, some events on what has been happening with CA3, which is a canal cleaning services that we have been working with for the last 18 years with the city of Miami. I'll tell you a little story or a little timeline of events for a lot of people that did not know of it. In 2005, the then director, Francis Mitchell, called upon Texas Aquatic to implement an emergency program of mobilization of equipment to remove, clean up, and allow for the waters to flow because of the upcoming hurricanes. That year, the hurricane season, just to name a few, had 5 hurricanes that came close to Florida. One of them was Wilma, that created devastation in October. On August, we mobilized equipment, came in, cleaned up the canals, and minimized the effects of the damages. In December of that year, the city asked us to implement a program to maintain the canals. We did that with a 2-year plan and with a one-time cleanup to start up. That was done efficiently, and on March 2006, a 2-year contract was implemented to do so. That was completely done in favor of the city, and that helped to create the following contracts in 2000.
Thank you. Thank you.
Chair.
Thank you.
All right, well.
Thank you.
I just wanted to
Thank
let
you.
you know that we do not agree with the acceptance of that canal. that
Thank you.
position. Thank you.
Good morning.
Chair, could I have the floor for less than a minute?
After Iris.
It's Ivy, Iris, okay?
Come on. Because she's, go ahead. Oh, I thought she was the last speaker, but go ahead, go ahead. No, go ahead, go ahead.
Iris Iscar with offices at 333 Southeast 2nd Avenue. Thank you, Commissioner, and congratulations, Commissioner Reyes. With regards to PZ 11, 12, and 13, I just wanted to commend staff. It's been a long journey to update Miami 21 with a lot of different cleanup items. So thank you very much this is our second reading. There is one item that I think still needs a little bit of a tweak. There's been an issue that came up with floor plate, including architectural features. So that is kind of like the elements of the building. These are non-habitable areas. These are like what makes like the 1000 Museum a signature building, or the Mr. C's across the street a signature building that I think needs to be tweaked as part of those zoning items. Otherwise, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Brenda Betancourt, 1436 Southwest 6th Street. Just in case, happy Thanksgiving to all. And my dear Commissioner Reyes, I hope that you get better. We're praying for you, and hopefully everything is going to work out good for you. Okay? We need you on the commission, very important. Just want to thank you guys for all the efforts and the cleaning up the streets. At least in my district, I have seen a big difference, and that helps for the flooding. We have some areas that we're going to still working on it, and I just hope that the commission has some plan for seniors who are kind of like stuck in the waters, and to see if you guys are planning any assistance for seniors or coming up with some issues about the waters being stuck and they can't move with the wheelchairs. So I hope that you guys can have something in your future plans for those areas around 15 and 6 and 4th Street. And there are being complaints about it, and I hope that you guys can try to mitigate something with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to be heard this morning for public comments on anything regarding our agenda? Seeing none, at this time, the public comment period is closed. I would like to have the Parks Director come and speak on some issues that I heard with respect to the rookery and cleanup of the islands. If you could, I actually live on Biscayne Bay, and I am very passionate about the bay. I did a tour with the police department, and I saw trash receptacles on the islands, and I'd like for you to speak to that in the cleanup of the, go ahead.
Chair, good morning. You had said you were going to let me have a minute after the last person that spoke.
I'm sorry, you want to talk now?
Thank you.
Go right ahead.
Wanted to relate to all three of my colleagues that are here and the public that I apologize that I could not get here until recently, but I have a cold, and I was waiting for my COVID results before I would come. I think that was the responsible thing to do. I could say to you that I do not have COVID, but I do have a lousy cold. So here I am. Thank you.
Stay away.
Thank you.
Stay away.
Yes.
That's why I put this on.
Mr. Evans, back.
Good morning, Chris Evans, Parks Director. Good morning, Commissioners. Good to see you, Commissioner Reyes, as well.
Thank you.
For the islands, we have 11 islands that are within the city limits. The island that we're talking about today, Osprey Island, is managed as a partnership with Miami-Dade County. Miami-Dade County does weekly cleanings of that island just because of the environmental necessity of that. We contract out the islands in Dinner Key as well. So we have trash bins, we have signs as far as the islands that are usually populated by the boaters and the motorists, and we clean those weekly and as needed. We have a contract for those.
Thank you. I love the idea about the drone going over.
Yes.
So we could see the trash. I love that idea. And I'd also like Mr. City Clerk to be a sponsor on those two items. Commissioner Covo?
So I just wanted to put on the record that I kayaked to the rookery on Monday. And after an hour and a half of kayaking around it, I noticed something that I think that is very important to mention regarding this item. This island, there is no way, because of the way that it's topographically built, full of mangroves, for people to be in this island specific. So boaters shouldn't be entering the island. I experienced and I saw the pelicans dead, and I'm a boater myself. And of course, I am not in favor of restricting boating at all. I just want to make sure that we have the right signage, that people understand that it's a recently discovered rookery. And it's so timely and so important for me, because if we keep waiting and waiting, we know how long it takes to work with the county and with the state to make things happen. So in this island in particular, we did the signage. And I was very surprised that after we passed that item a couple of months ago, the signage was actually up, it's there, but people still don't understand. And many times it's not people from Miami or from Morningside. Many times it's just tourists that don't know. So I think that it's really important to take this into consideration.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Commissioner, yes.
Yes, I'm glad to be back. RE 15, and I agree with you, I agree with everybody that the birds have to be protected, wildlife have to be protected at all costs. And I want to ask the city attorney or the person from Fine, that, because I had a letter from Spencer Crowley, who is a director of Fine, that this could compromise the amount of funds that are received for Biscayne Bay, because we are restricting the access. If that is the case, I will, I would like to get this, gentlemen, it will be sufficient with the amendment that the city attorney.
So the reason why we amended, Commissioner, our legislation is to make sure that fine is included and they understand. And they understand that this is not going to remove boating in front of the island overall. It would even be impossible because it's the canal. I mean, you need to boat in front of it, but there's no way that we're going to say, oh, you can only boat on one side.
We are not limiting access to the water. You see, that's what I wanted to make sure. And also, I'm in favor of enforcing. I think the biggest problem that we have is the amount of boats and jet skis that we have and the very few enforcers that we have on the water. People do whatever they want. People do whatever they want. We need more enforcement.
So that's why we also were including in the whole component. Of course, we're supportive of more
That's
marine
right.
patrol because we do need it. It's really, really important.
Yes, I also took a tour of all the island, and it is shameful that there were trash bins there, and they were overflown. You see, they overbuilt. I mean, they were more than full. There was trash all over. So, who is in charge of picking up that trash? And that's what you were saying. Is the city or it is the county?
For that island specifically, it's the county. We are limited in resources on how we can get to the bay to pick up the trash. We are exploring partnership with different organizations who have, boats and have the ability to assist. I know there's a lot of volunteers that a lot of you have been speaking to recently as well that we can use to tap into some of those in-between cleanings. We generally clean on Mondays because they're generally used more often on Saturdays and Sundays.
Okay, but either we start. I believe that if somebody goes to, I don't know, they need to go to one of those little islands, that if somebody goes in there, they should not litter, you see. And that's where, and people shouldn't be boating at speeds or being a jet ski at speed that is going to not only disturb the birds, it is dangerous to other boaters, other jet skiers, and it could create an accident, and in some instances it's fatal. So I believe that we need to find a way to have more enforcement and better system of cleaning those islands.
Absolutely, and we'll definitely look through our master plan and see if we can identify some resources, and even during mid-year, if there's a possibility of us getting more of our park staff out on the water to go to those islands more frequently.
And Miami, I mean, we need more police over there. You see, we need more police out there, people with authority to find and even impound one of those jet ski or the boat if they are going and they are disturbing. Not only disturbing, they're destroying the ecology. Okay?
Thank you. At this time, may I have a motion to approve the commission meeting minutes for September 14th?
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. May I have a motion to approve CA 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 as amended and 8?
I move.
Madam Chair, for CA3, I believe that needs to be amended with new backup that was provided to clarify that the federally funded groups can be awarded only to one of the proposers and that the regular projects can be awarded to both proposers. I believe that's new backup that was submitted
Correct. So it's just the backup document for CA3. It won't require the item to be amended, just a backup document.
Just the backup.
And for CA7, the results are just being submitted as a backup document.
Could you please explain what you said in layman term? So
On which one?
On CA3?
CA3.
CA3, and if procurement or public works would like to come out, but basically, federally funded procurements requirements, I believe only one of the proposers meets that, and it can only be
No.
given to.
No, it's that federal requirements require you to give it to the sole lowest bidder versus two.
Okay, we're saying about the same thing, but go ahead and.
Yeah.
Okay, that means that one of the companies is going to be paid with federal money, and the other one's going to pay with.
Good morning, Commissioner Juvenal Santana, Director, Residence and Public Works. What that means is that there will be two funding sources that are going to be applicable to this contract. So if there are federal dollars that are used, there will be one contractor that will be eligible to do that because they were the lowest responsible bidder.
Okay. It's clear and clear.
Right.
We're going to set both and then one different funding. Okay.
And Chair, just for the record, briefly, my apologies, I misspoke about CA7. CA7 is simply amended.
Right, so CA7 is changing the date as to when it's effective, so that's also an
I did
amendment.
say CA7 as amended. I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. The consent agenda has been moved and passed. May I have a motion for PH 1, 2, 3? PH 1, 2, and 3. May I have a motion?
I move it.
I have a mover and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. The next items are mitigation items, RE1. Is anyone here for RE1? City staff? Good morning. Can we do the rest of the REs? Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Madam Chair, and Commissioner Reyes, we have a gentleman for RE15, David Dobler, that I think he's still here, that he had requested to do a presentation, and he brought his presentation, but he didn't make it on time to do a special appearance. So I just wanted to see if we can pull that one so he can do his presentation.
I don't think we necessarily need to pull that one, and we've seen presentations. I think all of us are ready to vote on that, and the public comment period is over. I'm sorry, but
Okay.
I think it will.
I understand.
I think it will go well. Right. I think.
But we'll make sure that you can please circulate the presentation with all of
So,
us afterwards.
What I'm going to do now is ask if you can hold on a second. May I have a motion for RE6, 7, 8 as amended, 9 as amended, RE12, 13 as amended, and for RE13, we are acknowledging officially acknowledging the election results, and I'd like to congratulate Commissioner Reyes, who won handedly with 86% of the vote, which is impressive. Impressive. Yes, and we aspire to that. I think before that 86%, the highest was 65%. With you had 76? I had. Oh, when he was mayor, but okay.
No,
he had one.
I got two. I got an opponent.
He had an opponent. Impressive all the same. Mr. City Clerk, you were about to say something?
My apologies, Chair. RE 12 is a mitigation item, will need to be heard on its own.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize that was a mitigation.
And Madam Chair, I think you said that RE8 is also as amended. Did you?
Yeah, RE 8 and 9. So let me say it again so that we can get through. Commissioner Reyes has asked if we can take care of the items that are not mitigations first.
And, okay.
So let me say it again.
I just want a clarification, RE10 from
I'm
Mr.
going to pull, I'll pull RE10 for you.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to vote on, if I can get a motion, RE6, RE7, RE8 as amended, RE9 as amended, RE13 as amended, RE14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, really quick for RE8, I just
I
needed
said
to say.
as amended.
I know, but I needed to say the amendment because it wasn't sent out. I just need to say it briefly. What it is that capital projects in 1D3 allocation amount is being amended with regard to that as well. So I just needed to say that for the record.
Okay, anything else?
And then RE15, we said as amended, right? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Yes. So
Yes.
yes, RE 15 as amended, and for RE 13, in addition to the amendment, I'll just be submitting the results in as a backup document.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I move it.
Uh-huh.
Commissioner, can the mic
I
closer? I'm sorry.
You should be the lead sponsor in that.
Yeah, I'm a co-sponsor.
Well, you're the lead sponsor, that's in your district. I'm the additional sponsor.
Well, we are both
Co-sponsor, but that's your district. So
Oh,
out of respect, and I apologize that this was not maybe related to you before, what we were putting in, but I'm sure you saw it, and
yes,
you know who we're naming this for, so I know that
Absolutely.
you're 100% for it.
Yes, 100%. As a matter of fact, when I had my agenda prep, I let them know that I was co-sponsoring it. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very, very, I would say.
I have a
Very nice.
motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And
Now,
we want to take up the,
mitigation?
Madam City Attorney, can you read the titles into the record for SR1 and SR2?
Can I, as the chair, if I could, before we do that, I need something to be clear for me on
Okay.
the CA agenda.
Mm-hmm.
CA3, Mr. Manager, if I could go back. From what I had read in my backup, we had two firms that had presented their bids. One was the firm that's been doing the work for us in clearing the canals. They're from Texas, I believe. The other is a local firm that was over $100,000+ lower. But what I'm seeing that we did here is that we're approving both of them. And my concern is, if we are having bids and one firm is lower than the other and is also a local firm, why aren't we awarding that to the lowest bid firm that's local? And if they can't provide, then the other would be the secondary if the first cannot provide the service for any reason.
So Commissioner, for purposes of, we clarified on the federal funding portion, right, there's only one lowest bidder. The RFP was written at the specific request of the commission to include more than one vendor. So if you go back to the RFP and the request made by this body, it was to include more than one vendor, that we wrote the RFP that way. So that's why we selected two.
Okay, but how is it going to be implemented? Are we, and my concern is, whichever the way it was that it was written, what I don't want to see is that then this goes into the swamp and some bureaucrat makes a decision not in what's in the best interest for the city, but in whom they like best. So how are we going to go forward in this?
Commissioner, we'll enter into contracts with them, and the pricing will be consistent. So there won't be a disparity.
Excuse me?
The pricing will be consistent. There won't be a disparity. We will enter into contracts with them based on a fixed price.
Yeah, but my question again, then what I'm understanding you're telling me is exactly what I was afraid of, that now the bidding process didn't matter. Whoever was the lowest price, the other one that was higher is going to come and give us the lowest price also to match the other so they could get into the contract. So what's the use of putting it out then to bid?
Well, remember, the concern in the prior iteration of this contract was that we were only awarding to one bidder, and one bidder had had the work for a considerable amount of time. So at the request of the commission, they asked us to open up to more than one bidder so that more than one vendor would have the opportunity to do work for the city. Ultimately, we did that at the request of the commission.
Well, I don't know if it was at the request of the commission or the request of one commissioner or how it was. But what I'm trying to put things in the open, and the answers that I'm getting is backing up my concerns.
I'm just, if we're given instruction, right, to open up the bid and specifically request some flexibility to have more than one vendor, which we did, when we get to proposals, right, and both are qualified, deemed responsive, then we're just really adhering to the precept of the RFP, the solicitation itself.
That's fine, but when you have more than one bidder, one is lower, you would think that the lowest one will be able to get the bid. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm hearing is that the one that was higher, I think 160 plus more, whatever the amount was, I forgot now, that they're going to be very gracious and come down a lot lower, which means that why didn't they bid lower then, if they're willing to do it now? And they're still going to get a piece of the pie.
Commissioner, I can't speak to why they bid and how the proposal ended up being submitted at the price it was submitted at. We just were really adhering to the request of the commission in terms of creating some flexibility.
When you say the commission, can you read to me what it was to the commission dictated?
We'll go back to the minutes if you want and provide you the information in terms of the request. We drafted the RFP based on instructions we were given, so we can certainly do that.
Can I pull this item out and make a motion until this is clear? Because this is a great concern, that if we move forward in this fashion in the future, then what is the use of someone giving this city the lowest price, truly, if at the end...
Let me ask, Mr. City Clerk, we already voted on the item, and Commissioner Carollo has some unreadiness. What do we need to do now?
Essentially just a motion to reconsider.
Yes.
I have a motion to reconsider CA3.
Yep.
I have a mover.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. CA3 has been, will be up for reconsideration.
It's been reconsidered, so now it's back in play.
So now it's back in play, but we'll take it up
Yeah, we'll take it
after,
later.
We take it after because I remember, you see, one thing that I have is a very good memory, that the issue of more than one came up in our discussion that day. I don't know if it was me or somebody else that said, well, if it is the magnitude of the work is so big that we might have to, you see, we might allow to. But I would like to reconsider, go back to the minutes, because basically I agree with you. If we, this is what we have to do. I mean, this is basic. This is what RFPs are for. Bidding, it is to get trying to find it, if they have they meet the qualifications, accept the lowest bidder when they are in equal terms, when they all meet the qualifications.
Okay, so what I'd like to do now, holding off on our mitigations. Madam City Attorney, would you please read the Bay of Pigs Museum title into the record so that we can vote on that
That's right.
before lunch?
That's right. We have a bunch of veterans here that are
We
hungry.
do, and I don't want them to have to wait until after the break.
Does anyone know that particular item? PZ,
Is PZ 15?
PZ 15?
I believe so. PZ 14, PZ.
Thank you. An ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending...
Which number?
15, 15.
I was right, okay.
You were right.
PZ 15.
Thank you, Madam Chair. An ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending ordinance number 13114, the zoning ordinance of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended, more specifically by amending Article 4, Table 3 of the Miami 21 Code titled Building Function Uses to permit civic community facility uses in T4R, General Urban Zone Restricted Transit Zones, further amending Article 6, Section 6.1 of the Miami 21 Code titled Intent and Exclusions to provide supplementary regulations for community facilities in Table 13, making findings containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
May I have a motion?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you and congratulations. Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Take good care of yourself, okay? We'll be in touch.
And at this time, I would like to recess the meeting for lunch.
Chairman, Chairman, may I add a comment on CA3, just a short comment?
No, not now.
Mr. Carollo's,
Not now. It's coming back up after recess.
after lunch?
After
Thank
lunch, yes. At this time, I'd like to recess the City of Miami Commission meeting.
We can't hear my case.
No, because we have some other meetings that we need to break into, and I'm trying to be respectful of Commissioner Reyes' time.
What time will you be reconvening?
I am not sure, sir. I'll let you know in a second.
Okay.
Okay. What time is this? 12 o'clock. We'll know after the next two meetings that we have. The meeting's in recess.
I just need to know when I should come back.
I don't know yet, sir. I don't know how long these next two meetings are going to take so that I can tell everyone what time we'll reconvene. Thank you. The next meeting will be the Overtown CRA Park West meeting. Sabina, don't go anywhere. Let's get the meeting going. Come on, let's rock and roll. Let's get the meeting going. Plasma?
No, this is for the CRA. For that cheat sheet there, that we do have some minutes for approval for the CRA. So you can address that first or last.
Are we ready to begin? Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to the Southeast Overtown Park West CRA meeting for November 16th, 2023. I shall turn it over to our General Counsel.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and board members. The first order of business would be the approval of the July 27, 2023 meeting minutes. Need a motion?
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries to approve the minutes for July
27th.
July 27th,
Yes, ma'am.
2023. Okay,
And
go
we need-
ahead.
and we need public comments,
Public
Madam-
comment,
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
To approve the minutes?
No
To
problem.
open the floor, just.
Open the floor.
Okay, is there anyone here that would like to speak on behalf of any of the items that are before us for the Southeast Overtown Park West CRA meeting? Seeing none, public comment period is closed. Mr. Brown, continue.
So item 1, a resolution with attachments by 4/5 vote authorizing a grant in the amount of $289,566 to FM.
I'm sorry, I thought that item was going to be deferred.
I want to read it in the record and then defer it.
The item is going to be deferred.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Item number 2 is a resolution with attachments authorizing executive director to negotiate and execute an easement and operating agreement, Exhibit A, and the covenant in lieu of unity of title, Exhibit B, solely for zoning purposes under folio number 01-3136-094-0010 and folio number 01-3136-094-0015 and folio number 01-3136-064-002 located in Miami-Dade County, Miami, Florida, owned by Miami-Dade County, a public subdivision with property under folio number 01-3136-064-010 located in Miami-Dade County, Florida, City of Miami, owned by the Southeast Overtown Park West CRA. Further authorizes the executive director to negotiate and execute agreements, including but not limited to amendments and modifications. Item number 3 is a resolution by 4/5 vote authorizing the executive director to disperse at his discretion directly to vendors and/or on a reimbursement basis in an amount not to exceed $1,180,000 to Historic St. Agnes Episcopal Church of Miami, Florida, Inc., located at 1750 Northwest 3rd Avenue, to provide rehabilitation and preservation to the property. Item number 4 is a resolution by 4/5 vote authorizing the executive director to disperse funds at his discretion on a reimbursement basis directly to vendors in an amount not to exceed $544,305.81 to Human Resources of Miami, Inc. to assist in anti-littering services. Item number 5 is a resolution with attachments retroactively approving and ratifying executive director to execute a purchase and sale agreement between the Southeast Overtown Park West and Frontier Fuse, Inc. for the acquisition of real property located at 939 South Northwest 5th Avenue, property address 720 Northwest 4th Avenue, property address 440 Northwest 10th Avenue, Miami-Dade, Miami, Florida, 33136, containing approximately a total of 31,250 square feet as legally described. In the agreement for an amount of $2,230,000, contingent upon obtaining written appraisals from licensed appraisers stating the appraised value of the property is at a minimum the reference amount inclusive of said acquisition cost, the cost of surveys, environmentals, reports, title insurance, and related services associated with said acquisition. This item needs to be amended as it was cut off as printed but published in full. The amendment would be, and phase 2, if required, a survey and representation at closing, Exhibit C, incorporated herein, providing for incorporated site, providing for an effective date. Item number 6, a resolution by 4/5 vote authorizing executive director to disperse funds at his discretion on reimbursement basis directly to vendors in an amount not to exceed $2 million to support the Make-A-Wish Foundation of South Florida, Inc., a Florida not-for-profit corporation, for its new headquarters. Item number 7 is a resolution with attachments authorizing executive director to execute amendments to the first amended and restated agreement with Miami World Center Economic Incentives Agreement, authorizing executive director to execute any and all documents required to consummate the agreement in a final form except to the executive director and general counsel. Item number 8 has been withdrawn. Item number 9 is a resolution of the authorizing executive director to disperse funds to pay Sandra, and I'm gonna butcher this, Hapuchi, in the sum not to exceed $55,000 in full and complete settlement of any and all claims and demands against the Southeast Overtown Park West CRA. Those are our items.
So may I have a motion to pass those items without 1 and 8? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. May I have a motion to
Defer.
to defer item number 1?
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. May I have a motion to withdraw
Item number 8.
item 8?
Second.
I have a mover and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And that shall conclude the Southeast Overtown Park West CRA meeting for November 16th, 2023. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And now we are going to start the Virginia Key Beach Park Trust. I'm sorry.
I just need a moment to flip the tape.
Yes, we're going to have the Virginia Key Beach Park Trust meeting, and then we'll break for lunch. VPK, let's move it. Come on. What? Oh, yeah, I don't.
There are some minutes, and then there is a discussion item as well.
What?
Yes, so there's one.
What are we going to discuss?
I think
Are we ready? Virginia
we
Key
are.
Beach? Athlete, sit right here. At this time, we are calling a special meeting for the Virginia Key Beach Park Trust, November 16th, 2023. Go ahead, Ms. Executive Director.
Open your mic.
Press
Open your mic.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yep, press the
Yes.
other one too. Go ahead.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Yes, we called a special meeting this morning. Thank you, Chairwoman, and all the board members that are here today. We needed to address some house issues, and one of them is to pass a resolution to allow us to conduct business. So, Thomas, would you like to read in the resolution?
So I think first, we have to call the meeting to order, and
I
then...
did that already.
Okay, perfect. And then
need
second
to open
is the approval of the minutes.
May I have a motion to approve the minutes from what meeting? The September 28th?
Yeah, it would be the September 28th, 2023 minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And at this time, we need to open the floor for public. If there's anyone here who would like to speak on behalf of any of the items for the Virginia Key Beach Park Trust special meeting today, please come forward. Seeing none, public comment period is closed. Mr. City Attorney, would you please read the items into the record for consideration?
Absolutely. So we have a resolution of the Virginia Key Beach Park Trust ratifying, approving, and confirming the agreements as further described in Exhibit A, attached and incorporated, authorizing the executive director to negotiate and execute agreements, including but not limited to any and all other documents necessary to implement said agreements, all in forms acceptable to the general counsel, necessary to further the purpose of the trust and generate revenue for the benefit of the trust, with the entities listed in Exhibit B, attached and incorporated, providing for an effective date.
May I have a motion?
Move it. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Any more? That's it?
You have one
A discussion item. Madam Executive Director?
Yes, so what we're doing today is we're proposing some dates for us to meet. They are quarterly, and if you look at your support and documentation, it will show you, the dates that we're proposing. They are January 11th, April 11th.
Wait, so you're proposing to have quarterly meetings for this body?
Correct.
Yes? Okay.
I'll move it.
So let's have a motion.
You have a motion.
I have a motion and a second to approve meeting quarterly for this body. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay.
Thank you. And that shall conclude the special meeting for the Virginia Key Beach Park Trust. We will now recess for our City Commission meeting and come back at 3 o'clock or 2:30? 3. I know you guys. That's why I said 3. 3 o'clock. We'll resume the City of Miami Commission meeting at 3 o'clock. Thank you, everyone.